Good morning. Welcome to Power Pantaloons podcast. My name is Tonya. I am your holistic cancer wellness specialist. And today we have Mary Kay Tonka with us. Welcome, Mary Kay.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, why don't you let the audience know what it is that you do?
I'd love to. With saying that, I'm going to go back just a tad. I am a retired nurse. So health and wellness has been my passion from early on. And when I retired, I aligned myself with a company that we support, the products support the innermost parts of ourselves, which then helps us in maintaining or achieving more optimal health and wellness.
Okay, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit more about that, like
Okay.
nutrition and wellness. For me, I feel that mindset is right here and nutrition is right here. Like almost as important.
Right. And I agree with that. In this day and age, we don't get proper nutrition from our foods. We don't get proper nutrition from even many of the supplements because they're not regulated with the right things. Even the nutrition that we get um, in our foods is not as up to date because of the soil, because of early picking and not ripening on the vine. And the other part that really affects our health is all of this stress, all of the pollution, all of the toxins that we are exposed to on an ongoing basis. It really taxes our body in such a way that I never realized until the last few years.
Yes. And you like to think that you're safe from that kind of stuff in your own house, right? Like you understand that when you go out, there's pollution outside. You understand that you're gonna be dealing with that. But from your bath care, from your furniture, from your cleaning products, from your curtains, I mean, just the stuff that they made your house with, all of it, all of it.
And even the electronics,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
all of the electronics that we are surrounded with that we won't live without. You know, some of us can't live without them, but we won't live without it. It's convenience. Yeah.
Absolutely. On that, I try really hard not to have. I leave my phone downstairs, and we just got ourselves one of those old-fashioned alarm clocks, so that we're going to put that in the bedroom as opposed to all the cell phones and all that stuff. Just because, it- you need time away.
Right, right. And we don't think, but I mean, it's our convenience. And believe me, I'm not the perfect person with it. I have my own share of electronics, but we have to be aware when we do that, when we have those conveniences, that our body is paying the toll.
Yeah.
And I like to take it back to, okay, then how can I better support my body? How can I better support optimal health for me? We all have a variety of things that go on, and what might be my optimal health might not be your optimal health because
Yes.
of our history, because of our genetics. We just, are different.
Yes. And we all have to base our optimal health on what we're able, willing, capable of doing. And sometimes it's baby steps at a time. I strongly believe in baby steps because if you do radical change, you're not going to stick with it. But and you just start with one thing.
One thing.
And once you have incorporated that habit into your life, put another thing and make it one thing, like one thing at a time or two things at a time, not like 16 things at a time.
Right. That is so true. And really where I like to encourage people to start is learning. First, if we can learn, be exposed to what's out there, understand the pros and cons of something, then take the next step. Okay, of this, I am willing or able to do X, Y, or Z and go with that step.
Yes, yes. Like my you see me over here drinking my coffee, but my next step is to lessen the coffee, because not because of the coffee, but because of the ridiculous amount of sugar I require in order to drink the coffee. And so, like, I bought a bunch of adaptogens and mushrooms and stuff, so I'm going to make my version of, like the mud water type deal. Um because right, and add my dark chocolate cacao powder so that I can have the stem cells regenerate, and like all the cool stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. That's the next project for me personally.
Keep me posted on how that goes. I'm a coffee drinker, but I don't put anything in it, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with it.
I love the smell of the coffee, but I need it to be light and sweet in order for me to drink it. So I'm really looking forward, because we have started experimenting with it, and the chalk at the bottom is a little pain in the butt to drink, but if you constantly stir your beverage, I think you get powder in, and it's tasty because it tastes like a chai tea,
Uh,
and I love chai tea. So
for you, for you.
getting the nutrients in, however, just get them in, right? Like, so find unique. I do take supplements in the capsules and stuff, but that's a little tedious sometimes. So finding ways to put the nutrients into your body in a healthy way is.
Right. Anything is better than nothing is the way I approach it. Ideally, I don't recommend that people just go out to the nutritional store or grocery store or order online specific ingredients. It's better than nothing, believe me, but it really is having them combined in such a way that they work synergistically.
Yes.
And that is where the company that I have aligned myself with does. They are all formulated very much in a way of working synergistically and also being assured that what is in there or what is on the label is actually in the product.
Yes, you see all these, reports where all these vitamins and supplements don't even have what they're claiming to have, which I think is horrific.
Right. And the other part of that is then there's often things in there that aren't on the label.
Also horrific.
So it's like, okay, what am I really getting? So when one goes to look for a product, really look for something that you can be comfortable with. It is what it says it is.
Right.
Obviously, a great way is to grow it yourself if you want an individual ingredient. But that's tedious, and not everybody has that ability either. Uh,
Right.
so,
Right.
you have to be aware. Consumer beware.
Right. And when you're looking for supplements that you buy, you want to make sure that it's third party tested. You want to make sure that they'll actually produce the reports.
Right.
Um, and if you're trying to do things synergistically yourself, when you're using the turmeric, you want to put in some fresh cracked black pepper, because the black pepper 1,000 times the curcumin in the turmeric.
Okay. Okay. That I wasn't aware of. I mean,
Yeah, 1,000%. And it has to be fresh cracked. It can't be
the
already cracked. Yeah,
can powder. Yeah.
yeah. And when I was like 1,000%, that's amazing, right? So So now when I use the turmeric, I just take the pepper grinder.
Put it on there. Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, and you know, learning stuff like that, little bit at a time, and adding stuff like that. I I make my own soap. I make my own shampoo. I make my own conditioner. I make my own like uh, salad dressings. I'll infuse the olive oil with herbs, and then I'll have an infused oil, and then I'll obviously add spices, but you can infuse the vinegars too.
Wow. Good for you. Good. Have you
I,
always done that?
not always, but I have quite some time. Quite some time. Like if I were to show you my table right now, you would see two mustards, a couple of infused honeys, some infused vinegars, some tinctures. Like there's a little herbal pharmaceutical over here, which I think is important,
Right.
and it's not difficult. Like so, you know, whatever nutrients that you're trying to bring for yourself, you do a little research, and when you're researching herbs and stuff like that, 3 to 5 reputable sources so that you can see, you
Right.
know, what that herb will bring you, and then go from there.
You know, and another good resource that anybody can access is
PubMed,
PubMed.gov.
yes.
And it's very well, it's easy to get in there, but then always understanding the abstracts is something different. But it gives you a suggestion, an idea. And like if you're concerned about, oh, say, let's say, can't even think of one, but I'm going to use the word apoptosis since that's what the products that I have support. Put in apoptosis and like turmeric, and put in heart disease or
So
cardiovascular.
for the
And
people that don't know, what is apoptosis?
I will get right to that. But I just want to finish the directions for using PubMed. Anybody can go on there, and what you get is an abstract, and it'll give you a little idea of what it is. I happen to come from a nursing background, so of course I go there a little bit more, but I like people to know that it's available to anybody. You don't have to have a membership or anything. So getting back to your question, now I'm really going to go into something that I love talking about, and that's apoptosis, apoptosis, apoptosis. Any way you want to pronounce it is fine because your body doesn't care. Your body just wants the ingredients so it can be supported. So what is it? Excuse me. Did you know that within your body, you have the 3 R's? And I'm not talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's not what I'm talking about. But I like to say it because it reminds us, it kind of sticks in there. Repair, replace, rejuvenate. That is what apoptosis really does. So how does that happen? When your body is given the proper nutrients to support it, it supports the pathways and the signaling within your cells. Every single cell is supported, and then the signaling to repair it or replace it takes place. You know, most of illness is really a result of apoptosis not being proper. When we have too much apoptosis, we have more of the autoimmune, diabetes, inflammation, cardiovascular, Parkinson's, dementia. That's all things as a result of too much apoptosis. When we don't have enough, it results in the cells replicating, the damaged cells, the deformed cells, replicating into more deformed, more damaged, more erroneous cells, developing tumors, growths, and cancer. So is there any question that we shouldn't be supporting our body's apoptosis? No. Where do these nutrients come from? They are found in the products that I have, but around the world. They're the bitters and the herbs that we no longer have in our diet because the bitter has been hybridized out because we didn't like the taste of it. We, as mankind, try to improve things, and sometimes I think we need to stop and say, who really created this? And maybe he knew best to begin with, but we learn, we go, and we go on. But they really are important to get the proper nutrients in those cells so that it can support the innermost parts of the cells. And in there is also the mitochondria. I'm going to pause for a moment because you may have a question, Tonya, and then I'll go on.
Well, no, I don't have a question, but we're gonna talk a second about the fact that Americans as a society we don't use bitters at all. And, and you're right, we have worked it right out of our vocabulary because it's bitter, and our addiction to sugar and sweet things has made it very difficult for us to have bitter things. And you can work your way back. Like, as I was talking earlier about removing the coffee because of the sugar, over the last year, 2 years, no, it's been longer than a year, but so I have been working on my sugar and trying to remove excess gratuitous sugar. And several years ago, ring dings were my favorite thing. And now that I'm drinking kombucha every day, I recently had a ring ding and it was disgusting. It tasted like plastic, and like my whole flavor profile has shifted. So it is a thing you can absolutely correct. And I'm working back towards being able to bring bitters into my life because I know how, for your digestive health, how important they really are. So I'm not saying no sugar ever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is moderation and the wide range. Like, if you look at the Chinese practices, bitters is super important. They had the little aperitif globally, except here, right? Like, they had the little aperitifs and the little shots before, 20 minutes before you have your meal to stimulate your gut. Yeah.
I commend you, Tonya, for really taking those steps and recognizing, okay, I can make a difference. I can take better control of my life. I don't have to be a victim.
Correct.
And
Correct.
we all have things. Go ahead.
You advocate for yourself. And about 2 years ago, I really got serious. I was introduced to Gary Brecka. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's a human biologist, and he's he co-owner of 10x Health, and he talks a lot about wonderful stuff. But I listened to him on stage, and he had me get a gene test swab to find out which of my genes is not correctly methylating, changing the nutrients. Because when you put something in your mouth, your body has to change it so that you can actually absorb it. Folic acid is the thing that doesn't work right for me. But since I encountered this man, I started taking supplements based on my actual blood work, and I've lost 65 pounds. My stamina has increased 3 to 5 fold. Like, I'm a lot faster. I do more. I just have more energy. So you can control it. You can control, and it was a combination of mindset, because mindset comes first, and then discipline. and small changes at a time. So first it was, we're only going to have one portion of dinner. And then it was, once we figured that out, then it was lunch plate instead of dinner size plate. And now it's removed excess gratuitous white breads, white sugars, white flour stuff for the most part. Maybe once a week I'll have a flour tortilla or something like that. And but it's 75% vegetable matter and 25% protein matter.
You.
And I'm not actually exercising. This has just happened without exercise, 65 pounds. So when I actually start, I don't like the word exercise because in my head, exercise is punishment. So it's recreation. So when I'm going to start the recreation, and now that it's cooled off, it'll be a lot easier for me to do that. There will be more shedding, and yeah,
That is so exciting. I just commend you, and I love the fact of changing recreation instead of exercise. That's
it's mindset.
fun.
It's mindset because growing up, exercise was punishment. Like it just was. And nobody wants to exercise. Like, but people want to do fun things. So if you shift it in your head to a fun thing and you actually do the fun recreational things, you'll be exercising and not realize it.
Right. Yeah, no. And I haven't made that shift yet. I'm that's where I really need to focus. But yeah. So and as you mentioned that, I'm gonna bounce off here for your our audience in that I want to just say, as anyone out there listening to us talking and making changes, and you're saying, oh, but I want to, but oh, but I can't, but oh, I have so much, I'm going to challenge you out there to take a piece of paper, draw a circle, and put lines in it as if you were making a 6-slice pie.
Okay.
And then what I want you to do is in each of those slices or outside of each of those slices, write 6 things that you really want to address. I call it my circle of wellness, but you can put anything out there you want. You can call it a circle of change, but you can put such things as meditation, water, exercise/recreation. I'm trying to think of your vegetables, your fruits, whatever you want, put you can do 6 things there. And then take and think about each of those. And with the center being 0 and the outside of the circle being 10, rate yourself on a 1 to 10 of how well you're doing in each of those categories. Now, for me, exercise is at a 0, really a -0, but there it is, that doesn't work. But then my meditation is like at a 6. So I would put a dot halfway between the 0 and the outside of the circle. And I would go all the way around each of the categories and mark them, grade them the way I see myself. And then you connect those dots around. I can 99.9% guarantee that nobody's lines inside are going to be a perfect circle. It's
Correct.
going to be jagged. It's going to be bumpy. And then think of that circle as a flat tire on your car. And how far would your car get if you were driving on tires like that? To me, it's a good way, a visual, a fun way to do even with your kids of any kinds of change. It can be with cleaning the house. You can use it for many, many things. I just wanted to throw that out there. I was prompted to share that.
I love that circle. I've used it several times in the past. It is a visual. So many of us are visual, and we need to see things. It needs to literally bite us in the nose for us to acknowledge it. And doing something like I'm told to like color it in so you can really see it. Yeah,
I mean, you can
yeah,
do things with it, but I just was prompted to share that because we're talking about change. We're talking about taking control of our life, are we in control of our health or is our health in control of us?
and with that, like once you've done this exercise, pick one thing at one of the lower number ones. Like if you have some zeros or some ones, start there and pick a thing that can make you increase that by one
Uh-huh.
and work on that habit until you master it.
Right.
I I'm going to eat more vegetables. Quantify exactly how many more vegetables, like how many more servings you're going to put in, and then work on that. And once you've built that habit, tackle a different thing on your circle and then recreate your chart, see where you're going and
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love you building on what I say, and it really is. You can go back. You don't have to get it all the way to 10. If you just move it from 1 to 3, you've made a lot of progress. And maybe then you want to go back and address something else that was at a 1 and bring that up a little bit. It
yes,
really makes a difference.
yes. And then once you feel comfortable with all your sixes and sevens, draw a new chart with stuff that you need to work on
Right,
and start
exactly.
over. If you do 1% better today than yesterday, just 1%. That's all it takes.
Yep,
It,
that's
it,
all it takes. And that's so hard to remember. Even whether it's with our habits or whether it's with our spending, whether it's with our giving, whatever it is, that
yes,
1%.
1%. And it it's just this much more effort. And if you compile it, compounding interest and all that, at the end of the year, how much better you're going to be just by 1% more effort every day.
I think,
You can
I,
you can make a tremendous difference in your life.
in other people's lives.
Yes, most people are selfish and want to start with themselves. And maybe if they're not selfish, right? But they have an empty cup. You
Right.
can't give from an empty cup. So you have to fill your cup up. And when you're giving, you're not supposed to give from what's in your cup. That's yours. You're supposed to give from the overflow. So in order to be giving, you have to
Children.
give to yourself first
Good.
because yeah, because you literally can't. Like on the airlines, they tell you to put the air mask on you first
Right.
because you can't help anybody if you're dead. You cannot. Or if you're too sick to move.
Right.
And there will be times in your life where you are the helper, and
Uh-huh.
there will be other times where you are the helpee. And that's just how life is. Like it is a give and take. And if you refuse to give when you need, there might not be people there for you.
Right.
But I feel as a society, we're built to give. We're built to help each other, and we're built as a community to support each other and work together. That's just how I see it.
I'm right there with you, and I love the empty cup. You can't give from an empty cup. We have to give ourselves self-care before we can give to others. Not overindulgence, just plain self-care that we all need. And we need it from others. We need that give and take. So I love this conversation, Tonya. Wow, we could just go on and on and on.
Mary Kay, absolutely, absolutely. One of my favorite topics is nutrition and how the body works and how you can help yourself so that you don't end up with a cancer diagnosis or a diabetes or whatever thing that runs in your family is. Unfortunately, some of us don't hear the lessons
So,
as they're whispers. We ignore them. We're very good at ignoring the things, and we wait until it's overwhelming to start to make the change.
yeah. it's so true. And, you know, looking back on my life, you know, people say, oh, wow, you know, really had some, you know, interesting or some ups and downs. And I always look back and say, well, I needed all of that to be where I am today. You know, the road is all over the place, but it is mapped out for us when we don't even realize it. And we need some of those. I'm not saying that I'm not a victim, but I have to look at things that have happened as something that had a purpose in it. And that has brought me to where I am today, to really get out here and have the passion for people, help people understand how they can improve their health optimally and understand what it takes. Not everybody needs the same, or will take the same thing, and that's okay. I am just the messenger. I am the messenger. I will help people and try to understand, but it's their choices. And that's what I love about what you and I both do. We bring information and more information, and people take what they need for the day.
Yes. So what I find is if I listen to the same thing or this like what let's say audiobook, right? So it's a self-help audiobook. I listen to it where I'm at and then I gain something from it. And then I learn from that. And then a year later I listen to the same audiobook and I hear something different because I'm in a different spot. And I learn and I apply that. And you keep going back to the thing that helps you. And each time you've leveled up, you see a different aspect on how to shift further.
Right. And it goes back to improving that 1%, and then you get comfortable. And we circle right back around to the same concept, which is great. I mean, that's what we should be doing, is learning and reinforcing and taking it a step further. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
here. Oh, yeah. I see my battery running down and I don't want to lose it.
No, that would be bad. I'd be like, what happened?
Yeah, yeah.
You were talking earlier about apoptosis, and then you were going to talk about the mitochondria, and then you let me talk for a minute, and then we tree branched. So do you want to circle back to that?
Oh, I would love to. Yeah. No, what I was mentioning within, I mean, I can keep talking. But no, within each of our cells, and this just blows my mind because cells are little. You know, our body is made up of 37 trillion cells plus. And of that, 50 to 70 billion replace each day. So it's an ongoing process. But within each of our cells, we have mitochondria. And what the mitochondria are the little energy factories. When our mitochondria gets the oxygen through the cell membrane properly, and the nutrients, that's where our energy comes from. The energy for brain power, the energy for physical power, the energy for cardiac power, all of our energy is based in the mitochondria of each of the particular cells. So it is so important that we be aware of that and be aware of what it needs and why we need it. So that's kind of what I wanted to discuss, is really what the mitochondria was.
Little powerhouses.
Little powerhouses, yep, little batteries.
7 trillion. That's mind-boggling.
And you know what happens is, you know, multiple cells develop an organelle, and then organelles develop organs. Organs develop tissues. Tissues develop systems, and then the systems develop our body. So when we have the bases of the cells properly formatted and nourished, we have a greater potential of a whole healthier body. But if we have not taken care of those cells, then how can we expect the whole body to be at its optimum? That is where it all comes from.
Right. Fantastic.
I love it. I love it. So what else can I answer for you?
Well, I was just gonna say, where do we want to go next? Like,
Well, I don't even know where to go next. I want to say, people can always reach out to me. And, we have, I guess what I want to say is where I really got interested in all of this was back many, many years ago when I learned about the aloe plant and how the component in the aloe vera gel really supports cell-to-cell communication. And I thought that was the beginning or the end of what I needed to know. And now all of this has stemmed even further into apoptosis, into autophagy, which is taking when the cell is replacing itself, the good parts of it, it'll recycle and build onto another cell if needed be. But that has to be supported with the proper nutrients as well. So I just want to say that I'm willing to talk to anybody about this and answer their questions and help them better understand how they can support their health more optimally.
I have a very funny story about an aloe plant.
Okay.
I I had an aloe plant sitting in my kitchen window. So, like a sitting in the kitchen windowsill, and I came downstairs, and I sort of walked by it, and then I was like, "What?" And I looked at it. I'm like, "What's wrong with my aloe plant?" All of the leaves were flat. I was like, "What?" And I went up and I looked, and there were teeny teeth marks in all of the leaves. My cat had sucked all of the aloe juice out of every single one of the leaves. And supposedly aloe is poisonous to cats, right? Supposedly, because she was only like 3 at the time and she lived to 18. So I like and
It's not.
and she I mean she killed my plant because she sucked all the juice out of it, but she was shiny for 6 months. Like her like glow in the dark shiny. Just it, it was the weirdest thing. Something, I guess she just intuitively knew she needed something out of the aloe plant and she just
Yeah. And it's bitter. I mean, why, for a cat to want it? But obviously with its tooth marks, it didn't take as much out as if you and I would cut the leaf and scoop it out, but still, oh, is that funny? Is that funny?
I love aloe. It's one of my favorite plants. I actually have an aloe plant that is pretty much the size of my torso. It's ginormous. I I've had it for quite some time and it needs to be repotted. Um it needs it needs more space. It needs more landscape because it started as one and I think there's like 7 or 8 in this
Wow.
pot.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I put it in the soap. I use it for burns.
Yeah. Everything. Everything.
For everything. All right, Mary Kay. So you were talking about people getting in touch with you, and so I'm gonna make sure that we put your website information into the show notes so that they know where to find you. And if they want to ask you questions or if they're interested in any of the supplements that you were talking about earlier.
And I want to add, I'm just going to put a little plug in here. By the time this airs, there will be a new product out. And if any of you are not feeling you have the energy that you need for the day, that your mood, your metabolism, it's a great, all clean, natural energy product that we will be happy. Can't say much more than that right now because I don't have the details, but I trust the founder and the formulator of it, so that's all the information I need. But just be thinking of that. If you've been taking your caffeine or your Red Bull to get you through the course of the day, and you've listened to what Tonya and I have said about healthier options, ask me about it, and I'll be able to get you, information by the time this goes on live. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mary Kay. It was wonderful to have you here today.
This is fun. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. Have a good day.